Good afternoon. Welcome to 94.9 32 FM. Let's get down to all the headlines from the world of sport. The biggest will have to be, and definitely for us, it's going to be the game coming up in an hour, 28 minutes from now in New York between the Super Eagles and Zimbabwe. It's a World Cup qualifier, match day 6, 5 p.m., 3 games in that group. Elsewhere, Benin will play against South Africa. Lesotho will be away from home in Kigali against Rwanda. But we'll stay with the game that involved the Super Eagles because this is a big game. After getting a win against Rwanda and Kigali, we have said it so many times, the next big one will be Zimbabwe. So every game is key and important. Of course, the other games also are important because we'll be watching closely. All right, the other thing I've got to do with Bafana. Have you been on social media? Have you been hearing some of our colleagues away from our end here? They've been talking about Bafana playing a player who is not eligible in that game against Lesotho last week, Friday, where they won by 2-0. Okay, we'll wait to see that. We'll talk about it on the show. What are the rules now? What's this whole thing? South Africa suffer? Did they goof? Did they see this coming? Or what? Okay, we'll wait to see. Maybe Lesotho, Rwanda, Nigeria will put a petition and call for FIFA and CAF for some interpretation. And if they work according to what I've got in front of me, they might not get that maximum point. They might just lose that maximum point from what happened to them or happened in that game where they won by 2-0. The SAMIES here with me in the studio. We're going to pay more attention on the game, between the Super Eagles and Zimbabwe. But before we go any further, let me get Sammy's thoughts, because Sammy's, you were telling me a few minutes ago that you have the team news with you. So I don't need to ask you if it is fake or original. Because the last time we were here, went sure, and then just a few minutes later, we got it that it was. So the kind of thing we have at the moment is that the same players who began the game against Rwanda and Kigali will also start today in Uyo against Zimbabwe. So that means if that is the case, your thoughts?
Good afternoon to everyone who has joined us on today's edition of the show. And right here, seated in the studio, what is in my head is just the Super Eagles getting a maximum 3 points. And then I hope that Benin Republic and South Africa, they can share the spoils while the Super Eagles of Nigeria move to second on the log. But then concerning the lineup, yes, it's confirmed that we have the same set of players who played against Rwanda and won by 2-0. They are the same set of players to prosecute this game. They are the Godswill Akpabio International Stadium there, where we have a goalkeeper, Stanley Wabali, retaining its spot and getting goal. Then Olaluwa, playing much more in the left back position. William Troost-Ekong, the captain of the side, Calvin Bassey, Bright Asai Samuel, completing the defense line, and then Wilfred Ndidi marshalling, that's the midfield, being the cover to the defensive line, and then Alexander Iwobi providing a more attacking cover alongside Samuel Chukwueze, Moses Simon, and Ademola Lookman, where we have Victor James Osimhen, who played his first World Cup qualifiers for the Super Eagles of Nigeria just last week. That was last Friday, where he scored a brace for himself, and he took his tally with the colors of the green, white, green, 225 goals, just behind that's the great man who holds the record for the highest goal scorer, where we talk about Nigerian football. And it's all about the question, can Victor Osimhen, before he retires, can he get 13 goals to definitely equal or surpass the record of being the highest goal scorer that's within Nigerian football. But then, while asked before the game, that's today, and while in the press conference yesterday, the captain of the side, William Troost-Ekong, he discussed about the importance of Victor James Osimhen and also the importance of other players within the squad of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. And I would really want us to hear what the captain of the side, the man who trades this game in Saudi Arabia, has to say about Victor James Osimhen's involvement within the Super Eagles of Nigeria, as well as other players within the Super Eagles. So let's take a listen to what he has to say before we come back and definitely deliberate more on the Super Eagles starting 11 and how we can possibly get maximum 3 points in this encounter.
I think everybody knows the importance of Victor, but I think that's not where the accent lies. I think there were some other players missing. Even today we have some players missing who have been a key part of this team for a long time. I think when the team performs well together, then you see the individuals shine. I think even if we talk about the Rwanda game, I think we have to highlight more than just Victor Osimhen. I think there's almost all the players that we could say made an impact, even the players that came off the bench, players who helped in the training session before the game, players that played out of position maybe on that day, like Yusuf that we spoke about. So there's so many different factors, and I don't think that we can rely on one player, and that's absolutely not the mentality in the team. We try to make everyone feel very comfortable, and we work hard together.
I'm not sure.
All right, so there you have William 𝐶𝐈𝐒𝐂𝐋𝐀𝐈𝐒, the captain of the side, trying to let us know that it's not just down to Victor Osimhen, it's down to everyone. Scored 2 goals in the game on Friday against Rwanda, and we'll be hoping that Zimbabwe is in my head. I hope he comes to party today, not just him.
Get the 3 points against Zimbabwe.
I just want the goal can come from anywhere. Can even come from standing wide, but I don't care. The goal should just come. And so that's for that. So let me quickly get more thoughts from SAMIES. SAMIES, like you said the other time, nothing to really talk about too much. This is not something that you want to be analyzing and be breaking down. Nigerians have listened to so many analyses. I mean, talk is cheap. We know it's getting the point. And I'd also like to mention, because in getting that, you also need the fans to be in the stadium in their numbers. You know, they say how that 12th man walk in football. You need the fans to come out in their numbers to come support this team. 5 p.m. is the time. The governor of the state have gone ahead to buy 30,000 tickets. And he says, don't come with money, but ensure you have your ticket with you so that the security guys at the entrance will allow you in. Come in your numbers. The NFF also said the first, is it 500 or 1,000 that comes in, we'll be giving them jersey. You know, just to motivate the fans to come out. You know, the other day we saw the fans came out in the numbers in Kigali, and later we gathered that the president, Paul Kagame, said, open, let them come and watch. Some of them are even transported there to come watch. So African football, that it is, in terms of people coming out to watch football for free. I've got my issues with that, but not for today, because my issue for today has got to be we winning that game, SAMIES, against Zimbabwe. How are your thoughts?
For the game against Zimbabwe, I think I've had my own sentiment, and from seeing the lineup.
Do you have your fear?
Yes, I do have my fear. And I think
Why? It's Zimbabwe. I know that
this much on Saturday, but then coming into this game where I thought it was going to be a changed 11.
What were you expecting that change?
A few players are not going to retain their spots.
So maybe help us with the names of players you think shouldn't be here starting the game.
Well, if you ask me, I would rather drop Moses Simon to the bench.
And then play who?
I play Ademola Lookman on the left flank.
And then who?
Samuel Chukwueze
and then
on the right flank.
Who comes in for Moses Simon?
Maybe you just use a different defensive cover where you deploy Alexander Iwobi as a number 10 proper in that game, and then you use Wilfred Ndidi and Raphael Onyedika, while Onyedika does the running, Ndidi and can just sit as the defensive cover for the defense line there. And that would give a much more license to Bright Asai Samuel and Olaoluwa, to probably attack the spaces that we would have that's in the defensive side of the Zimbabwe national team, the Warriors of Zimbabwe, when they try to attack the Super Eagles of Nigeria. But this is what we have. And I say that we are playing at home, and this is with much more expectation than what they did at the Amahoro Stadium last Friday. You're playing at home. It's definitely coming with a much more anxiety from the players, the fans, and Nigerians that they are going into the stadium. Let's not forget delegates of the Nigeria Football Federation. We've seen Austin Eguavoen present in Uyo. We've seen that musical stars, musicians, hip-hop stars also present there. We've seen skit makers, comedians. All of them.
They should be careful.
All of them are in Uyo.
And so you
talk about the importance of this game also for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. The players, are they going to be on that fear? Yes, they got that victory against Rwanda, and probably they would be so much excited and say that they have this going for themselves, that they can pick up 3 points in the coming game, and then just a countdown to the last 4 games to be played there in the group. But this one for 𝐿𝐿, yes, this is the first time he's going to be facing a multitude of Nigerians, over 30,000 Nigerians. He's going to be facing them for the first time in his career. Not even at the African Cup of Nations there in Ivory Coast did they face them. He's going to be facing them face to face today. And then just God forbid, if the result doesn't go the way of the Super Eagles of Nigeria, well, I just fear for the unknown.
You know what? Put that aside. Don't be scared. Don't let Sammy's thoughts, analysis put any fear in you. We're going to get this game done because God is behind it. You know why I'm saying that? Because this game's case involving South Africa, involving who? South Africa, yes.
Yes.
If it happens to be what we're talking about or what we're going to talk about in a few seconds, that is the case involving them playing a player who was ineligible for that game against Lesotho, then you will see that, that's why I say the hand of God in all of this. If he wants us to go to the World Cup, we'll go to the World Cup. I know the other guys are also calling on God. But you know, one of the things that Sammy said is distraction. When you have, he says, skit makers, you have musicians, you have artists, you have politicians, and all of that on their way to you. I understand they have the right to watch. I'm not taking that away. But please don't distract the boys. Don't go into the hotel, go into the dressing room, try to do a high five, try to do a selfie. No. After the game, when we beat them, even like I said, even if it is 0-0, as long as that half go give you maximum points, that is what matters. 17 minutes to 4. Let's head straight to the other one that I've got making headlines in the last few minutes. I've been told we need to pay some bills. So let's quickly do that. And when we come for the second part of the show, we'll talk about South Africa. Tosin will join us, will help us make a meaning. What led to all of these? How many cards? Which game was the South African midfielder? The Mamelodi Sundowns midfielder. I know him well. Okay, we'll hear all of that from him. And when we come back, we'll also run you through the other games. I'll be going down tonight in the African qualifiers for the World Cup 2026.
We don't just love the music that you love. We play it.
And here we go.
We done did it.
We did it all.
Bumping hits from all the stars.
32 FM 94.9.
You're listening to 32 FM 94.9.
Tí wọ́n bá bi ọ́ léèrè pé kí o dárúkọ eré ìdíje géèmù mánigbàgbé tó dángájá, bẹ̀tánù ni ìdáhùn rẹ̀ lọ́jọ́kọ́jọ́. Ó yá tara ṣàṣà kí ìwọ náà bá wọn jẹ àǹfààní nínú géèmù alárinrin tó fanimọ́ra ní ìpele pẹ̀lú ẹgbẹ̀rún lọ́nà igba 200,000 owó ìkíni káàbọ̀ àti àwọn ẹ̀bùn mìíràn bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ. Bẹ̀tánù ayò ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ báyìí. Forí pípẹ́ tayò yìí o. Ó bẹ̀rẹ̀ látòrí ọmọ ọdún 18 lọ sókè. Alájọṣepọ̀ ẹgbẹ́ Aston Villa ni wá.
Àṣejù ní ká gbé sí rédíò mi. 32 FM ti wà òkè.
Feel better about your life.
32 FM 94.9, the antidote to depression.
All right, so you're welcome back. 94.9, 32 FM. Okay, let me also see if we can open the phone line. Get your prediction, make that bold statement about the Eagles. Like I said, don't fear. We've got you covered. The Eagles will get this one done. Just the way we got it done against Rwanda, we will get this done. Okay, so let's switch from the Super Eagles and talk about the Bafana. Let's take a listen to Tony. Tosin spoke to him earlier in the day, and he's here talking about what happened, what might likely happen to South African player if he's found guilty, or for Safana if they are found guilty of all of this. Tosin.
Thank you very much, Peter. It's always a pleasure speaking with you. First, on the issue of Teboho Mokoena, the Mamelodi Sundowns midfielder, South Africa's vice captain, jersey number 4. He was not supposed to have played against Lesotho. So usually when you accumulate cards in FIFA World Cup qualifying, 2 yellow cards, you're suspended for the next game. As it is right now, there are 9 Nigerian players who have 9 yellow cards, so 9 different players who are at the risk of suspension for the next game. But the thing is, Mokoena gets a yellow card in the 54th minute on match day 1 in a 2-1 win over Benin, and then he gets another yellow card on match day 4 last year after they came here and picked a point in Nigeria. He gets another yellow card in the 52nd minute, and somehow they didn't record that going into match day 5, and he finally plays on match day 5, and he's not suspended. So you wonder how is he not supposed to be suspended for this game? Who should have checked? Who didn't check? And he didn't count. Now, some people have talked about whether it carried to the AFCON qualifiers. Well, a bit of news for them. No, it didn't, because he also played in their first AFCON qualifier against Uganda. So this is just clearly a case of malpractice from whoever it was that's the team manager of Bafana Bafana. And usually in the rule books, the 2026 FIFA World Cup preliminary regulations, if a player has 2 yellow cards, accumulation of cards, that player should be suspended for the next game. There is also a caveat there in terms of protests, and the caveat for protest says that if the protesting body does not protest within 24 to 72 hours, then it can be thrown out, etc. But in this case, it affects this game as well, because inadvertently it was because this came out in the media. That is the reason why they now know that he shouldn't have played the game against Lesotho. So they will not play him today against Benin. And if you are Benin, you definitely would be happy that he's not playing against you. But if you're Lesotho, you then say, hey, this guy should not have played against us. Benin can then take it up as well. So it could be Benin, it could be Nigeria, it could be South Africa. It could be Lesotho as well, taking up this case. And, FIFA would also have to do the right things. We had the same situation in the 2018 World Cup against Algeria, where we went away, drew the game 1-1. It was, I think, about a month after or 2 months after that FIFA came out with, the FIFA Disciplinary Committee came out with the retrospective punishment. 𝐃𝐈𝐒 was not supposed to play that game. He had accumulated cards in the earlier games in the qualifying series, so he should have been suspended. But he played, and because he played, the goal was wiped out, and our 1-1 draw was turned to a 3-0 loss. So you expect something similar here as well from FIFA.
Right, so there you have him, just in there, just trying to make some meaning and get some clarification. SAMIES, you have something different or same opinion?
From what
because you have been searching yourself.
From what everything Thosin has said, I think this is just a lack of focus from Lesotho. And if we talk about this, I think it should also be down to how the officials, the match officials, also went through the list of players being registered for that game. Because just to go back to what happened last week to the Shooting Stars, where it was down to the diligence of the officials, 2 delegates who actually had to fish out 5 ineligible players for that game against the Zamfara United. But now going into this game last week, that was on Friday against Lesotho, from what we have, it was said that Lesotho, they didn't foul a formal protest within FIFA's 24-hour window after the match that was played on Friday. And so I think all this news broke out late yesterday and in the early hours of today. So that's over 72 hours already, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But then for Teboho Mokoena, he played in that game, 2-0 they won. And despite accumulating yellow cards in which he got in their previous games, that's talking about the game against that game was
one against Benin Republic. One against Benin Republic.
I think that's not Zimbabwe now. I think that's when we talk about the African Cup of Nations qualifiers, the last set of games that they played in the AFCON qualifiers, World Cup qualifiers rather, was against Zimbabwe and the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Yes, he got a yellow card against Nigeria there in Uyo, and then against the Zimbabwe, which is supposed to actually have him miss the 3rd game, because that's sort of accumulated.
I think the one he missed, was against Benin Republic when they won by 2-1, not Zimbabwe. The Benin Republic game was they won 2-1. He picked up a yellow card in that game. It was supposed that's the last game before the game against Lesotho. Where they won 2-0. So it was the game against Lesotho that ordinarily shouldn't be starting or even playing game
against the Lesotho.
But he went ahead and played.
But from all of this that we've had now, it's all down to the verdict that we can get because if this actually happens, what is good for the goose is good for the gander. For South Africa, they are on the verge of missing out on the 3 points. They actually broke a sweat for on Friday, and that will be awarded to Lesotho. If that happens, that's just a favor for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. But if that doesn't happen, still, in which I hope it happens, because they actually violated a rule, and they should be punished for that rule. Because you also look at the importance of Mokoena in the South African side.
You can't take it.
Vice captain.
Yeah.
Best midfielder in the side. He is their set piece specialist.
Yeah.
And then you say that this man, truly, maybe they had their reason, or they thought that would be overlooked. That was why they fielded him into the match day squad. But then, just as it stands, if he's going to be charged, if the South Africans are going to be charged, that would be a blessing for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. But
even if they are not, sorry for butting, Sammy. Even if they are not, let it be the way it is. Okay? And if that also happen, good for us. But if it doesn't happen, let's just keep doing our job and hope that they don't do their job today against Benin Republic. The Super Eagles should not be distracted with all of this, because we have to wait and wait for what FIFA will say. FIFA will have to make an official statement. You read one now saying that Lesotho did not do the needful in the last 24 hours or thereabouts and all that. But we'll have to wait for a confirmation, because what you have in the Nigerian social media or the Nigerian media space is different from what South Africans are putting up in their own media space. So if you have the opportunity of checking online South African newspaper and media outlets, they are saying something different entirely. They are saying there's no way that the guy is not guilty of anything. And if you come down to this part, you dig and see what Nigerian newspapers or bloggers are saying. They are saying, you know what, Nigeria should appeal, Lesotho should appeal and all that. So we just wait to see what all of this will play out. But for the game today, this should not be a distraction. We'll be looking for maximum points. Quickly, SAMIES, before we go, there will be 2 games in that same group also. Maybe the one involving Rwanda and Lesotho will be less bothered, but we'll be interested in what goes on between Benin Republic and South Africa.
Just as that game, all sides would be that game between Benin Republic and South Africa. Yes, I was saying yesterday while we were on the show that 𝐃𝐈𝐒 came out with a statement to say that Nigerians want Benin Republic to defeat South Africa. But that being said, I think it should also be right on the part of Benin Republic to say that, this is a group where things are intense. We can actually defeat South Africa or get our own pound of revenge. Remember that South Africa defeated them in the first leg 2-1. Yeah. And if that is something that we can also do, let's just go all out and pick up 3 points against South Africa. And, like I said, maybe that is one thing they would want to do today. But for the game, it owed lots of meaning or lots of importance to both nationalities. For South Africa, they get a victory. Well, it is them extending their gap at the top of the table and then displacing that Benin Republic side. And then maybe the Super Eagles are going to be edging closer to them while they hope to pick up a maximum 3 points. But then, let's just see how the game goes. But for me, just as a neutral man, for this encounter, I hope that they share the spoils, playing out a draw in that encounter. Maybe 3-3, anyhow it is. Just a draw. It's fine for me.
All right, so the other games on the continent later today, that will be in Group D. Angola will play against Cape Verde. Cameroon will play against Libya. That will be for 8. And of course, for 10:30, Morocco would like to break their fast before the game against Tanzania. Burundi will play against Seychelles. That's in Group F. Whereas again, Uganda against Guinea. Botswana against Somalia. They play football there too. Algeria will be up against Mozambique. Comoros will play against Chad, knowing that the Ghanaians went to Madagascar. Not Madagascar now, somewhere around Morocco, and they won by 3-0. 1 game tonight in the South American region. Uruguay will be up against Bolivia. And of course, talking about the European end of it, they've got the qualification also later today. And starting from 6, Moldova against Estonia, Israel against Norway. Liechtenstein will play against Kazakhstan. North Macedonia will be up against Wales. These games are for 8:45. Gibraltar will play against Czechia. Montenegro will play against Faroe Island. And 1 game on the continent. No, not one, but part of the games. Later today, we'll see Egypt at home against Sierra Leone. For the Egyptians, don't forget, they're cruising at the top of the table in Group A. And in Group B, South Sudan will be up against Sudan. That game will be somewhere in Libya. Mauritania against DR Congo. Senegal will play against Benin Republic. One more thing from your end, Sammy, before we go.
Well, maybe not anything. Just putting an eye looking for the lineup between Benin Republic and South Africa. But that has not been revealed yet. So we just cross our fingers and then hope the guys are on again by 5 p.m. Sporting Crystal and the rest of the crew. They come all out too. Well, maybe give you a few commentary from the game, the first half, and reactions from other centers on the African scene.
All right, so take this down from 5 to 6. Did you find out that you won earlier today on 𝐿𝐻𝐻 on the Cocoa Box draw? If you did not, you still got time to go in there and get your money. Put your money where your mouth is. The Super Eagles is playing. They want to win. You too can win. How do you go about it? Dial *347*253# on any network or visit www.𝐶𝐂-COCOBOX.com. If you visit the website, informations are there. If you also want to go route straight, the short code also, that also not good. So the draws will be coming up for 5 to 6 with 200 naira. You stand a chance of winning 10,000. So you can play as many times as you want. Keep playing, guys. People are winning 10,000. For playing with how much? 200. You can play 3 times. You can play 4 times. But definitely something for you if you just wish. All right, so that we have it for today. We'll be back again on Wednesday morning. That will be Scoreboard in 15 from 7:45. We wish the Eagles all the best. Christian is still will be here for 5 to take you through that game. I am Peter Omo.